Now, about 4,000 historic pieces, some dating back to the 17th century, were spared from the fire that gutted Parliament on Sunday. The fire destroyed the older section of Parliament, but the collection of books and artworks are believed to have been saved. We're now joined by Briggs, who has been running tours of the art and artifacts at Parliament since 2012. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, Kate, and I'm sure you and your team breathed a sigh of relief when it was found that a lot of the artifacts that were housed at Parliament managed to be saved, including that new mace that signifies the official opening of Parliament.
Yes, and we were also very relieved that the Keiskamma, this incredible artwork made of textiles that's no less than 120 meters long around the old assembly, is okay. I mean, it really is priceless. It was the first huge work of the Keiskamma Trust in the Eastern Cape, and it depicts the story of the region from the first inhabitants through to the first democratic election, so incredibly appropriate to be there.
No, absolutely. And I mean, you speak about the Keiskamma, and I just want you to maybe give our viewers a sense of how it was actually created and why it's such a precious piece of art.
It was created in the village of Hamburg, which is very rural and incredibly, I'm going to say at the time, which was 2004. It was the HIV pandemic. And it was a project that employed over 100 mainly women. And it was the start of an amazing, hugely globally recognized initiative. And from this one, it's based on the Bayer tapestry, they went on to do other huge works. And last year, I was lucky enough to see their one they're doing on this current pandemic.
Kate, give us a sense of some of the other artifacts that managed to miss that fire and their significance.
There's a map, a facsimile of a map, which is the only known replica of a 14th century map that is the first known African continent depiction. And that's the far end of the parliamentary precinct in the Good Hope building. And so that should be fine. And I have it on good authority that there won't be smoke damage in that part of the building.
Right, and of course, I did mention a little bit earlier that the value of the art is also quite significant. I mean, you've done tours, a number of them, introducing many people to the different artworks and artifacts that exist at Parliament. So perhaps just a broad sense of the variety that was housed in Parliament.
Yeah, you're so right. It's such fantastic variety, from art about indigenous knowledge systems to portraits by some of the finest portrait painters of their time of Victorian England, such as Orpen and Laszlo. And there are also really incredible drawings and watercolors by Le Vaillant, and he was a French explorer who depicted some species that are now extinct. But what is really reassuring is that the most valuable artworks of this nature would be in storage. And because the Parliament has a very good artworks office that was established in 2001, that the art there should be okay. So some of the really good works, like the William Kentridge on show now, as you can see, it's in a storeroom. And because they're in a sealed, if you like, repository, I'm pretty sure they're going to be all right. But it's some of the architecture, like this image here, the Herbert Baker architecture, which really can't be replaced. And I don't think it should be copied and be a pastiche. I think there's an opportunity here to create something in time that relates to the history, but something new. And it's this intangible part of the building that can never be replaced. You know, it's where Verwoerd was murdered, the old assembly. And when I took a group in there, it was palpable, the heaviness, the stuffiness, and sort of pregnant with history, and you know, where apartheid government made these most horrendous acts of parliament, like the Group Areas Act in 1950. And that's why the Keiskamma was so significant, because it wrapped around the chamber where the apartheid government passed these laws.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in your answer just now, you brought up something quite important there, Kate, the Artworks Office, which you've just said was established in 2001. A very, very important work that's done there in terms of correcting all of that missing heritage that tells the South African story so aptly. Talk us through some of that work that's done by the Artworks Office.
So one of their roles has been to digitalize the collection, so take photos. And so they offer an incredible service. You can ask for images and they will send them. And through that accessioning process, they know there are 12,000 objects of historical and artistic value. I mean, that ranges from the maces, the wigs, the furniture, as well as the artworks. And as you mentioned, there are 4,000 special art and historical works. But what I am worried about is that in the offices that were burned, there were things like the aprons, often by rural crafters who weren't named, and aprons, and then photographs taken post-democracy. Those are the things that I'm still concerned about whether they're going to be okay. And of course, the fire department aren't letting anybody in yet to have a look.
Right. And then just a final thought from you, Kate. I mean, it is quite devastating that some of our heritage and history has been lost in the fire. Some of it has not. But is this an opportunity for young artists to come and tell the South African story and perhaps have it presented in perhaps what will be a refurbished parliament, and just give an opportunity for a new South African story to be told by young people?
I think that's a really good point, and not just artists, but also heritage practitioners and architects, urban designers, to do something really amazing. I'm reminded of in Berlin when the East and West Germany united and the Reichstag, and they used that opportunity to do something contemporary and modern, as well as having the old. And you know, hopefully there will be no rush and something could be really done that will sort of give a silver lining to this tragedy.